So here we go. The game's firing up. Kindmime opening with his 7 cards. Wolzarg taking them. Uh, Kindmime getting to go first here. This is game 1 of their match.
This is game 1.
Wow, that's fantastic that we get to catch both of the semifinal games. So, keeping this hand, Kindmime is going to want to hold on to that Crackling Vortex for the big kill with either a Reactor Bot or the Gore Master. But as it stands, needs to find a Gore Master, and I think he's set. Needs to find a Gore Master and a charge here. wolzarg, however, as we saw last game, does have the capability of just destroying somebody very quickly if he's left unchecked.
Yeah, this seems like close to the ideal opening hand for Kindmime. Not quite perfect, but it's got a lot of the tools that it needs to win in this matchup.
Yeah. You would ideally take a second Crackling Vortex helps. You would ideally take a Gore Master here over Jags.
Right.
Because as good as Jags is, like, you just would like to have the Gore Master out and doing its work. And the Gore Master avoids a lot of the potential threats that wolzarg has. And wolzarg playing his own Crackling Vortex here, getting into the fight himself, using the Thirst like we've seen him do to just get rid of that Reactor Bot here. Not afraid to use it for a little less value than its potential. And here comes the Crackling Vortex.
Yep, we see a Jags out on the board here. Kindmime still just developing.
Yeah, and we got to see if wolzarg has something to deal with Jags here. Maybe another Thirst and Champion Power. Subtle Striker coming down, which will mean Lionel Flynn cannot use his power for a little while. Not the end of the world, really, for Kindmime, because he really just wants to be using that in, like, a finisher situation. He's going to draw this Wild Shard, he's going to put it down onto the board, and likely swing in with Jags. wolzarg has to know something's up here. Your opponent would never swing in with Jag, like such a valuable troop, unless he desperately needed to get rid of something on board. But he blocks with the Subtle Striker anyway, which means Crackling Sprout comes out, 3 damage pushes through. Do you think that's the value Crackling Sprout offers when it's in a deck like Kindmime's? Like, it saved his troop there, but he basically played Crackling Sprout to get 3 damage through and remove it.
I think wolzarg was okay with that. I think wolzarg just wanted to go ahead and get it out of his hand if he did have it. And if he's bluffing, obviously, it's great for wolzarg in that spot, because I think he'd be thrilled to trade a Subtle Striker for the Jags.
Yeah, using another Thirst in his Champion Power, he gets rid of the Jags anyway. Must have drawn into one of those, because, like, I feel like if he knew that he had those options coming, he would have just let the Jags hit him.
But yeah, he drew the Crackling Vortex, pretty sure, off the top there.
Oh yeah, fair enough. So here we are. wolzarg still has 5 cards in hand after playing this Gortazuma, and Kindmime has 3 before he draws. And as we can tell, he's not exactly littered with good options. That one, however, is a pretty good option. He chooses not to use it.
I think there's a small delay between mine and yours. I think I'm maybe a half second ahead of you on this one.
Well, I waited a second to mention that Crackling Bolt, if that's what you were wondering.
Right. We see the Tunnel Troop here from wolzarg as well after the attack. And pass it back to Kindmime. This time Kindmime says, "That's enough. I'll go ahead and take care of this troop now." And he's going to pass it back.
Here comes the Tormented Ritualist. Still, Kindmime just, like, fishing through his deck for those draws. Needs something to put onto the board.
wolzarg's still missing on shards, has tons of action left in the hand with 5 cards. Kindmime still waiting to stick a threat. Has a Gore Master here now, though.
Has a Gore Master, and he uses his charge power right now. He just wants that on there as soon as possible.
Yeah, looks like Kindmime is maybe trying to set up for a combo kill here, as we've seen from the Goremaster deck a few times. So Crackling Rot from wolzarg is at least going to shrink it down.
Wow, but that's it. Um, with that being the case, I think this might be Crackling Sprout into Crackling Vortex into Lionel Flynn into Win. I think that's game, isn't it? 8, 16,
Yes,
32. Yeah.
that is definitely going to be it.
Even if it wasn't enough as was, there is a boulder toss sitting there in that hand. Uh,
Well, again, he's short on the ruby on this one, but yeah, he could have.
yeah. Well, I mean, so I guess
Yep.
the Crackling Rot was the right option here, but just without a secondary way of dealing with the Gore Master there, without a Cogtopedal's Thirst and a Resource or a Zared Power, that. Um,
Goremaster combo kill.
yeah, that Gore Master too strong. Wolzarg, in two of the games we've seen now, losing to just huge amounts of troop power. I mean, not to rag on him there, but he definitely got the 4 heroic outlaws, which was pretty exciting.
That
And
was.
now a 32 attack Gore Master. Pretty lucky top deck from Kindmime there, so to say. Is was not out of the realm of possibility that he could have just kept drawing no troops. He's not exactly playing a ton of troops, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, Kindmime definitely needs to get the right mix of cards. It is a bit of a combo.
Yeah, I realize he could have used his charge again next turn, guys. But at some point, like, you can only use the charge again after you use like your crackling vortex. And I generally, if I'm playing Gore Master, I feel like I want to use that charge for the most value possible. And that doesn't mean adding 3 more damage onto an already 32 damage Gore Master.
Well, the one thing that was good for Kindmime in that spot, the opponent was stuck on just 3 resources, so he has Crackling Rot, which can shrink it, but there's nothing that could actually outright kill it in that spot. Wouldn't matter if it was Thirst. Actually, Thirst would help more than hurt at that point. So there was nothing. Even if he drew Shard and had Wakazashi, there's nothing that he could have done on that particular turn. So it does make sense, thinking about it from kind of Mime's point of view here.
Kind of an interesting reserves we're looking at here. I'm not sure we're showing them on the stream. Uh, Tech would have had to have turned off the stream for this particular part.
I switched over to the splash screen.
That's okay. Um, I guess even with the 5-minute delay, we won't talk about this, but I will. I will leave a note to mention some things afterwards. I'm sure he doesn't care if we do talk about this, but uh, and I don't want to step on toes just in case.
Professionalism, Penta. Professionalism. We try where we can.
Yeah, I mean, no, everybody will point out our tiny flaws, but we are trying. It's like, wait, something went wrong. You guys should have known that was happening. Oh, my bad. You guys did something right? Well, that's just natural. We expected that.
Of course, do it right
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, do it right every time.
Because no one
So,
ever misplays in these games, right?
oh, not just misplays in the games. Never mind the games. It's running these things can sometimes get out of hand.
I know.
Wolzarg is choosing to play here. His version of Mono Blood, very aggressive. Uh, it is Wolzarg's pick here, but looks like they're gonna restart here because there was some sort of priority bug.
Okay. Okay, we have the restart here.
Looks like things are firing off just fine here. Strong opening hand again from Kindmime here. This time the Jags actually looks really scary.
Yeah, Jags
That
looks pretty
withering
insane.
that withering touch will be traded out of Wolzarg's hand for Crackling Sprout. When you're going first, things like withering touch feel like a little less value. Like obviously it's very powerful for him to do that, but you know I'm looking at this and it's I think I'm okay with that if I'm Kindmime here. He's gonna play his Shard of Savagery and he's gonna choose Wild here almost certainly, and then like the rest of his turns are really fine. His opponent basically started one card less. Like I'd have mulled to the 6-card hand that Kindmime was on, and then he gets to draw that extra card, and things look okay here.
Yeah,
Here comes that
kind
Tunnel Troop.
of going against these type of decks. I feel like Withering Touch has a sweet spot of like if your opponent has kind of like 2 or 3 cards, but of actions.
Well, obviously, the best value of Withering Touch is when you not just get to remove a card from your opponent's hand, but you also get value in seeing the other cards. But in this case, all that happens is Withering Touch is played, and the way Withering Touch works, you reveal all of the non-shard, non-troop cards in your hand, and that happened to be just the Crackling Sprout here. Which is a bit of information, I suppose, for wolzarg, but there it is. And he didn't get to see the boulder toss that has now been drawn into. And considering the craziness that is about to be, this might be a very, very fast game. The Subtle Striker comes down. That is actually going to play a much bigger part in this board than wolzarg probably believes. That stopping the champion power from Zared is potentially changing this from a turn 5 kit. Well, the Wakizashi also helps, so there we go. Had he not gotten rid of the Jags here, we were looking at the potential of a Wrathwood Master Moss kill on turn 5 with the possibility of not even having to swing. Subtle Striker getting in for this damage there, and things are evolving quickly on this board. Do you think with only 2 cards in hand, we might be seeing wolzarg running out of gas here, JJ?
Well, it does look like that. I will say, unfortunately for Wolzarg, he doesn't have a lot of good answers to Master Moss in his deck.
Especially
period.
does not have those dishonorable deaths that we've mentioned several times here.
It's
The
very
Wakizashi
important.
Ambusher is important against this Wrathwood, as it will make the Wrathwood die when it turns back into the Mossling. But well, a Crackling Rot also being used. I think I'd have swung in there if I was wolzarg first, but I guess he's looking to just straight up remove the Master Moss from the board, getting a lot of value there. Another Subtle Striker down on the board. Okay, so he's pushing through a ton of damage now. He'll get 4 in this turn, and then he's swinging for 8 on the subsequent turns. But, you know, we've got answers from Kindmime. I think he needs to draw into something. I mean, he doesn't really need to draw into anything right now, but he wants to draw into something that can help. Yeah, there. That's pretty much perfect. The Crackling Sprout that he lost earlier returning to his hand in a brand new form, the reincarnation of a crackling seed of the planet ready to sprout underneath of the Troll of Stink. So
never
this
change, Penta.
No, this top deck from wolzarg, maybe what he needs. We'll see. But we will see the Alpha Strike. Kindmime will likely... yeah, he's likely going to block and use the Crackling Sprout here, because then he can play his other Stink Troll next turn, and the Stink Trolls can do the high 5 that we saw yesterday. Yep. Give each other 5 in the sky and 5 attack, 4 defense with their combined abilities on the board, assuming that what wolzarg has in hand isn't an ability that would... Like a Crackling Rot would be a total blowout here. It would be a game victory I would have to assume. I definitely would have played that Shard first, I think, if I was Kindmime here. I'm not sure if that's the correct or wrong play, but having Boulder Toss in response to some other quick action could have meant the difference between life and death here. He does play the Shard. No reason not to have the Boulder Toss online. and now he can just leave the stink trolls on the board, and he can't necessarily win yet, but he has stabilized, and now the opponent has, now wolzarg has a chance. I say the opponent a lot in these things. I want to let everyone know that's just like how when I stream, I just refer to whatever other person is on the table as the opponent. I'm cheering equally for both of these people. I just have poor language in that regards.
It is interesting that wolzarg has been the beatdown in this particular game, but with the multiple subtle strikers adding pressure to the board.
Unfortunately, we're getting a little bit of a spoiler in chat here, but apparently we need to know that a great ending is coming. These guys letting too much information through. Kindmime leaves behind the stink trolls. He only uses the one to buff up the other here, so it's like a high five, but the other guy didn't mean it. Tormented Ritualist hits the board. Normally, I would say that was a pretty strong card for wolzarg here, either forcing out the other stink trolls, like forcing out the boulder toss or something, but with them saying that the game's over. Oh, cannot use his charge power here. Worth mentioning, cannot use his charge power. Subtle Striker does stop that. You can almost see Kindmime just being like, wait, what? Did anyone like your sleeves? I believe I mentioned your sleeves as being pretty awesome, Shosini. So with an attack here, wow. I mean, that would be scary. Those actions, though. I think if he attacks here, and his opponent takes it on the face, obviously double boulder toss is the win. And even if he trades, he can stay alive or use the boulder tosses to survive. So I think the attack here is the correct play. Math is the most killer delay of game.
Math is definitely tough here.
Math is going to be the final raid boss of HexTCG.
So for typical serious card gaming enthusiasts, we usually have like a notepad on the side with a pencil or a pen to like jot down and do quick math. And not only that, also note what our opponent has in their deck or hand for any actions that we feel that.
There are a lot of times where like I'll have my computer's calculator open or my notepad running while I'm playing in a match, because just little notes can make a big deal. Kindmime is a math teacher. Zubrin will be happy to know that a math teacher is spoiling fun for people not only in schools but in trading card games. He's doing the boulder tosses pre-combat here. Now this is so that he will be able to use his charge power and change up how the board works. Now he's got 13 damage represented on board in addition to the extra damage from the boulder toss. I believe this particular play means he cannot lose now. There's nothing his opponent could have. Because no matter what happens, we've got 10 crush damage going through and the boulder toss for another 8. So either the board is cleared or the game is won.
Probably with the spoiler, we know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I mean, we did have the spoiler. He was holding a missionary, so if he played a Gore Master, he would have squeaked with joy, which does bring up, now that we know the game is over for sure, it does bring up the interesting sideboard choice that Kindmime had made. He removed his Gore Masters. There were no orcs left in the deck for your missionaries to hit, now that I think about it, and that might have been why he made the decision.
That's part of the game.
Why did you do this to me? Have to gamble. He gambles on taking the damage, and it's too much. Missionary was great reserves meta, yeah. Good. Sorry.
Yep. Without the block there, it's just over.
So I guess we'll leave Kindmime stream up because the finals are going to be Kindmime versus some other guy. No, that's not true.
Some other opponent.
Some other guy. No, honestly, it is going to be Kindmime versus. I believe it's
It was Clever Boy, right?
yeah, Clever Boy. Yeah, no, I was pretty sure it was Clever Boy, but in the back of my head, I was like, maybe I've got that wrong.
Should check just to be sure.
Yeah. Some other guy versus Clever Boy. Just to round it all out. Yeah, no, that was a good game. Congratulations on the 4th/3rd finish to both wolzarg and Shosny. You guys did amazing. Obviously, the whole tournament has had some very strong play. I don't think we've seen any bad games on the feature matches, all the way from our early coverage of Infamous Neo and the thresholdless hand up to right now. Like everything we've seen today has been pretty explosive. All complications aside, 4 heroic outlaws into 32 attack gore masters into yeah.
That was a highlight of the tournament for sure.
Yeah.
That was awesome to see.